Welcome to the Virtual SIM demonstration. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to show an experience where the customer has ordered the Virtual SIM service, downloaded the app, now wants to set their primary line for sending calls and give their other lines nicknames. They can do this by selecting the Virtual SIM app and simply clicking on the line they want to set as their primary line for sending calls. Then, to create nicknames, they simply choose the Settings button for each one of the lines and create nicknames. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to call our physical line physical and our two virtual lines virtual line 1 and virtual line 2. Customers can use these nicknames to denote between lines such as business and personal, or a temporary line that they might use instead of having to give out their true number. This first user experience shows the Virtual SIM customer receiving a call from a contact on their physical line, which here is 469-200-9611. You can see when the non-Virtual SIM customer calls the Virtual SIM customer who's on the right, they will see on their screen that they're being called on their physical line as opposed to either of their virtual lines. And this user experience shows the Virtual SIM customer returning a call to a contact using their call log. When the Virtual SIM customer goes into his call log, he can simply click on the name of the customer and he can see that he's calling his contact back on his physical line. In this user experience, we'll see a Virtual SIM customer receiving a call from someone who's not in their contact list to their second line, their virtual line 1. You can see the customer on the left is calling our Virtual SIM customer on their second line, their first virtual line. Then if you look at the screen on the Virtual SIM customer's phone on the right, you'll see a *2 denoted to the right of the phone number, indicating to the customer they've called him on their second line. Then, the Virtual SIM customer can place a call back to the person who's not in their contact list using their virtual line. This experience shows that no line selection is required when returning a call from the call logs. The Virtual SIM customer can see the *2 on the right side of the number, showing that they returned the call on their virtual line. And note, the CLI displayed is that of the virtual line. This experience shows a Virtual SIM customer receiving a call on their virtual line, but from someone who's in their contact list. In this case, the Virtual SIM customer will see the contact name as well as the nickname from their virtual line. You can see the customer on the left is calling our Virtual SIM customer on their virtual line. Then, if you look at the Virtual SIM customer's phone on the right, you'll see they see the contact name as well as the nickname they gave their virtual line. And in this user experience, we see the Virtual SIM customer returning the call from the contact using their call logs. You can see from the Virtual SIM's call logs he's returning the call on the virtual line. And if you look on the phone on the left, you'll see the CLI presented is that of the virtual line. This user experience shows a Virtual SIM customer receiving and sending text from their physical line. They can do this from their normal message log. They don't have to go into the app, and they don't have to keep separate text message logs for each line. Everything can be completed using their traditional message log. You can see the customer on the left is sending a text to our Virtual SIM customer on the right using their physical line. If you look at the face of the Virtual SIM customer's phone, you'll see that they just received a text from a contact on their physical line. The Virtual SIM customer sends the text from their physical line, and you can see it's received from the physical line. This experience now shows the Virtual SIM customer receiving and sending a text to a person who is not a contact using their virtual line 2. You can see the customer on the left enters in the virtual SIM customer's second virtual line, our virtual line 2, and sends a message. Notice that they are texting our virtual SIM customer's second virtual line. Then if you look at the virtual SIM customer's phone, you will see that they get a text message alert showing that they've received a text on their second virtual line. Then our virtual SIM customer simply goes into its normal text message logs and returns the call on the second virtual line. The virtual SIM customer returns the text using his second virtual line. And you can see from the phone on the left, it's received from the second virtual line. This user experience shows how a virtual SIM customer uses the virtual SIM app to select a forward to line to forward calls to another number from one of its virtual lines, in this case, virtual line 2. The virtual SIM customer goes into the virtual SIM app, selects the number that it would like to forward calls for, then types in the number that they want calls for this virtual line forwarded to, and then clicks Save. And the forward to line is displayed. In this experience, the virtual SIM customer receives a call on their physical line, then receives a call on their third line, or what we've named virtual line 2. They place the physical line on hold, answer the call on virtual line 2, then switch back to the physical line, and finally create a conference call with both of the calls. The virtual SIM customer is receiving a call on their physical line, which they answer. Then you can see a call comes in on their second virtual line, which they answer and place the physical line on hold. Then they're able to switch back to the physical line, and finally they're able to conference in the virtual line 2, merging both of the calls. This next experience shows a virtual SIM customer who can change the line they're calling from on the dialer using the Quick Switch widget. Virtual SIM customers who want to originate calls to a contact without a line designator or select a default line to use when they are using their dialer can use the Quick Switch widget to let them quickly select the default line they wish to use to send the call. And this concludes our virtual SIM demonstration. Thank you.